In today's video I'm going to show you how to create a fairly simple Ed Sheeran web page that makes use of all the skills we've learnt in the previous tutorials about HTML tables and styling them up using CSS coding. So you can see an example of the page we will be making today. It's basically a bit of detail about Ed Sheeran's Multiply CD. It has all the tracks that are on the CD and the time that they all go for. Ignore this little watermark down here, something's going on with my version of Windows, so that won't be part of the web page obviously. To get started today you will need to go over to your accounts, make yourself a Lesson 7 Ed Sheeran folder. Inside of that you will need an images folder, and inside that you're going to have to put this picture. So I'll make my images folder now, and I'm just going to drag that Multiply CD cover into my images. Okay, so that's it. So you've got Lesson 7 Ed Sheeran folder, inside of that you've got images, and inside of images you've got that one Multiply CD cover. Once you've done those three things, you are ready to get started, so pop on over to brackets, make yourself a new document. Whoops. And before we start typing the code, let's just save it up. So I'll go to File, Save As, just pop into my accounts, find my Lesson 7 Ed Sheeran folder, and I'll save it right there. I'll just call it ed.html. Don't forget .html on the end of it. And I'll click Save. So now ready to start making our web page. We will begin today by throwing in the doc type tag at the top to tell the computer we're making a HTML document. And then we can begin by putting our HTML tags in. Inside the HTML tags we've got our head section as usual, and inside the head section we've got our title. Our title today is Ed Sheeran and a cross, which is multiply. It stands for multiply. Beneath the title we're going to have some style tags. Okay, I'm not going to do them right now, I'm just going to add them in so we know that that's where we're going to style up our page, in between those style tags, but I'm not going to do the coding just yet for that. I want to get the content into my page first. So that's all for the head section. Let's go below the closing head tag and we'll begin the main part of our web page, which is the body section. So the body section today, look at the example, we've simply got a table. Okay, so let's add a table into our web page. Inside that table, our first row is basically the big header. Okay, so we'll add our first row to the table. I'm not going to use a TH tag for this, I'm actually going to use a TD tag, a table data tag. Okay, so the data we want to add in is simply Ed Sheeran and the X symbol, which stands for multiply. We've got our closing tag there, so that's the first row of our table sorted. Let's go to the second row of our table, and if we have a look at the example you'll see that what we're adding in is a picture of the CD cover to the second row. So inside the next TR tags we're going to add another TD tag, so table data, and the data we're adding in here is an image source, so open up an image source tag, write equals, and let brackets help you out here. It'll do the coding for you if you click on those things. We're looking for the CD cover, close the tag off, okay, and that's added in the CD cover. If I press Ctrl S and save that, I might pop into my account and open up what we've done so far. We'll have a look at how it's coming together. So we should have in the first row the Ed Sheeran multiply title, and beneath that we've got the CD cover in the second row of the table. So far so good. So let's keep going. We'll add the next row of our table in. In this row we've got some little headings. The track name, the name of the track, and the time that the track goes for. So what I'm going to do is add TH tags now instead of TD. I've got our table header tags. They're like little subheadings here. In the first one we're going to write track number. Straight below we're going to add another TH tag. This adds a second column to our table. I'm going to call that name. We're going to add one more TH, so it adds a third column to our table. We're going to write time. So in this one row we've got three columns, track number, name and time. I'm just going to save that and you can have a look at what I've done. It's going to look quite ugly at the moment when I refresh this, but we've got track number as one column, It's also got the picture and the title in that column. In the second column we've got the name of the CD, name of the track, and in the third column we've got the time. When I add borders around this table, you'll start to see what's going on. I might actually do that now just so you can see what's happening. I'll just go back to my table tag at the top here, put a space there. I'm just going to write border equals, and in quotation marks, 1. And if I pop back to my page, you can start to see how it's all coming together now. So the first column, second column down here, and then the third column down here. Right. Pretty ugly looking page at the moment, but let's keep going. We're going to style it up a bit later on. Okay, so beneath that row we're going to add in another row. This is the fourth row of our table now. And we're back to TD tags, so just plain table data is getting added in. In the first column we just want to add the track number. Okay, so the track number is obviously going to be number 1. Let's add another TD tag below that. We're going to put the name of the first track in there. So the first track on his CD is called 1. It's appropriate. We're going to add one more TD tag in, so another column, and that's going to be the time that this track goes for, and it's actually 4 minutes and 13 seconds. So that row there is the fourth row in our table. We've got track number 1, it's called number 1, and it goes for 4 minutes 13. If I save it, this information should come directly below those little headings. Let's have a look. Okay, so number 1, there's the name, and there's the time. Alrighty, looking good so far. Let's keep going. I'll add in a few tracks. I'll add the first 4 tracks for you. You can add the rest yourselves. So the next one, TD, I'll add in track number 2. Do another TD, and the name of track number 2 is called I'm a Mess. And that track goes for 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Alrighty, so let's keep going. I'll add in the next 2 tracks. So I'll add another table row. Oops. I'll add in table data for track number 3. And track number 3 is called Sing, and it goes for 3 minutes 55. So that's the third song now in our table, and let's just add the 4th song. I'm going to stop at the 4th song, but I want you to keep going and add all 12 songs. I know it's repetitive, but it's the best way to learn, doing things over and over again. So track number 4 on his CD, it's called Don't, and Don't will go for 3 minutes 35. Alright, I'm going to stop there. Once you've got all your 12 tracks in, make sure you've got a closing table tag, a closing body tag, and a closing HTML tag down there as well at the bottom. Okay, and that will have your table all finished. Once you save that and preview it, it will still look fairly ugly, but you'll see a list of the tracks now coming in row by row. And you see you've got the 3 columns that you keep adding in as well. Okay, slowly start to see how it's going to come together, but we've got to add that CSS coding in now to style it up. So let's go back up the top of our page here. I'm going to start with the table here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do after we've added the border in, we also want to align this table in the center. So I'm just going to write align equals, in quotation marks, write center the American way. That'll just push our table over towards the center of the page. Okay, easy enough. Next thing we might do is pop down to the Ed Sheeran title here. Okay, what we're going to do is make this merge across all 3 columns, because at the moment it's just sitting in the first column of the table and it's skipping these last 2 columns in the table. So what we're going to do, it's going to pop back into brackets inside this TD tag before Ed Sheeran. So TD colspan equals 3, and that will make that one column span across, oh sorry, that row span across 3 columns. So if I save it now and preview it, you'll notice that this, when I refresh it, will now span across all 3 columns instead of just spanning across one. It goes all the way to the end of the table. Might do the same for the picture. Okay, it's only in the first column at the moment. Let's move it so it spans across all 3 columns. So find the picture, inside TD just do colspan equals 3. Now the picture will span across 3 columns. I'll save it, refresh it. Now we're looking a bit better. It's a very small table, so we're going to make it bigger in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do now is head up to the style tag at the top of the page. I'm going to start styling things up there. It's a better place to be doing our CSS coding. So the first thing we want to style up is the body section of our web page. So right in the body tag, open up a curly brace. And on the next line, let's start by doing the font family. Font family we want is sans serif. The next thing we want to do to our font is change the size to 1 EM, so it's the default size on whatever screen you're looking at. Next thing we'll do is add a bit of line spacing in, so it's called line height. We'll do 1.5 EM. Don't forget the semicolon at the end of each line as well, just to show that you finished that line of coding. And last thing I might do in the body section is change the background color of the page. Color I'm going to use is like a light orangey kind of color, so the code is FFDBB2. Do a semicolon, close off your curly brace. This bit of styling will style up the body section of your web page, so it basically affects the entire web page. So any font on the page will be sans serif. Any font you see should be size 1, so it's the default basic size. Line height 1.5, so that's basically 1.5 line spacing, and we've got that orangey background color. I'll press Ctrl S to save it, and we'll go have a look at how that's affected our page. So we can see we've got the new font, and we've got that nice orange background color. Let's keep going. Beneath the body, I'm going to style up the table. So let's write the word table. Open up a curly brace. Now, the background color is the first thing we want to change. Basically we want white. Okay, if you know the code for white, which I think is all F's, you can put that in. We'll just write the word white, it's a bit easier. The width we want our table, I want it to be about 60% of the screen size. So whatever screen I'm looking at, whether it's a mobile phone or a large desktop computer screen, the table will always be 60% of the screen size. Okay. The last thing I'm going to do is just remove that ugly border from around our table at the moment and just make it a nice thin skinny black border by collapsing it. That's all we're going to do to style up the table. Okay, change the background color to white, make it 60% of the screen size, and collapse the border into a single skinny black line. Press Ctrl S and save it. Pop over to the internet and refresh the page. Now that's a better looking table. Okay, pictures and text up here still aren't looking too flush. They need to be centered. We'll do that shortly. But you can see it's starting to look a lot nicer. So beneath the table, let's style up our TD tags. Okay, and it's just doing what I said before. We're going to align the text in the center of each cell. So every time you wrote the TD tag down here, for example, just here and here and here, that text is now going to be centered. Okay, that's all we're going to do for the TD tag, so I'll save that. This will make our table look a lot nicer once everything's centered. You can start to see it coming together nicely now. Alright, so we'll keep moving. Next thing we're going to style up is the image. Okay, we're only going to do a little thing to the image, so right in the IMG tag. Now if you just go and have a look, we've got a little bit of white space beneath the image here, but we've got no white space at the top. Okay, what I'm going to do is add a little bit of white space at the top, just so it looks a bit like the white space you've got at the bottom there. So all I need to do is write padding dash top, and I'm going to make it 5 pixels of padding. Press Ctrl S to save it, and go on preview. Just check out the top of this picture. When I refresh the page, a little bit of white space appears. Okay, so we've got that even amount of white space on the top and bottom of the image. Okay, next bit, starting to get a little bit confusing. What we want to do is make every second row in the table a different color. So what we're going to do is write TR, which stands for table row. We'll do a colon and write NTH dash child and write even in brackets. Sounds weird, I know, but just do it and it will work. So what we're going to do next is just make the background color for all the even rows in the table. We'll make it white. Okay, so it'll remain at that white color it's got now. What we're going to do below that, after we close the curly brace, you write TR NTH dash child, and in brackets we're going to write odd. So now every odd row in the table is going to have a background color, and the code I'm going to use for that is it's a light grey color. So I'm going to do F2 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 and do a semicolon. Semicolon at the end. Close off that. So basically, this bit of coding here is saying that every even numbered row in our table is going to be white. Every odd numbered row in our table is going to have a light grey as its background color. So let's save that. Go and have a look. There we go. So we can see we've got white and grey for every second row in our table. Okay. The other issue we've got is it's coloured in the top row of our table up here. We will fix that shortly. Okay, I don't want that to be grey, so we'll go and have a look at fixing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because that's inside a table row, that heading section, I'm going to have to go inside this TR tag here. And I want to just edit this row only and no others. It's going to be a unique row. So I'm going to have to give it an ID. So I'm going to write ID equals, and I'm going to write header. Okay, so that's back in my body section here. In the first table row that you've got, the one that says Ed Sheeran and the X, I'm going to give that row a header ID. What we can do now in our style tags back at the top is just write hashtag header and give it some style. And that's just going to style the one row called header. Okay, and the style we want to give it, it's just a different background color really. So background color, the color I'm going to give it, I'll go DD C4 E5, do a semicolon and close off that. So this little section here, hashtag header, will only affect wherever it sees the word ID equals header. It's just affecting this row here, the very first row in our table. Let's save it and have a look at how that works. So instead of having the grey, oh, that's not working like it should. What have I forgotten? Oh, forgot the hashtag. There we go. So hashtag needs to go before it. We'll try that again. There we go. So we've got that light purpley colour now, just affecting that unique row in the table, the first row, because it's the only one we gave that ID to. It's starting to get a little bit confusing, but we'll keep doing this over and over again in future tutorials and it will start to make sense. Okay, in fact, we're going to do it right now. The other thing I want to do, track number, name and time, I want to make this a different color as well. Okay, so it stands out from the other rows. So what I'm going to do down here, I'm going to give this row another unique ID. So I'm going to go ID equals, this time I'll write subheader. Okay, and what I can do now is go back to my style tags at the top and style up the subheader. Okay, so I'll go up here and write hashtag subheader. Down the next line I'll open up my curly brace and I'm going to change the background color. And I'm going to do a code for this. It's going to be 9AE FB1. Do a semicolon. Okay, if you hover over that, you'll see that it's a light greenish kind of color. And the other thing I'm going to do is write text transform, and I'm going to choose uppercase. And that's just going to put all my text in that row into uppercase letters. It's all capital letters. And I'm going to save it. So this little bit of style here is only going to affect where I've written the ID subheader, and that's for this row here with track number, name and time. So if I save it, we should see the track number, name and time change to that nice light green background, and they've all gone into capital letters. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. What else have we got left to do? I think this header at the top needs to be a bit bigger. So let's find that. Here it is in here. So inside TD, we'll add some more tags in and make it a H1 heading. That should fix our issue of having a small heading. And the other thing I want to change is the image here. Okay, it's a little bit too big for my liking, so inside the image source tags there, I'm just going to write width equals 150 pixels. Can't spell today. And after that, height equals 150 pixels as well. Alright, I'll save that, and we're probably going to have a finished web page after this. Let's have a look. Text a bit smaller, text a bit bigger, image is a bit smaller. Got all our colours looking nicely. We should have 12 tracks in. Remember, I only did 4. I need you to do all 12 tracks. That's it. We have a finished Ed Sheeran web page. You can see now how we're using advanced features of HTML and CSS to create really professional looking tables in brackets. Okay, so save it up and you're all done.